It is that time of year again. For most, you are likely thinking of new beginnings, new starts, a whole new year and a whole new chapter is beginning for us. So in the spirit of the new year, I figure it's important to make a video talking about new beginnings, since that is kind of the entire point of manifestation. So the biggest question I've been asked this week, naturally, is how do I create the best life possible for 2024 and beyond? It is that time of year again where we start reflecting on 2023 and the year that's passed and looking forward to what is to come. And so it is only fitting that we make a video talking about how to make sure that your every desire becomes an actualized reality in this upcoming year. And to do this, we have to take a different approach. We have to change our perspective at how we typically view our desired changes and what we want to see happen, what we desire to see happen, and the reason that we fail to manifest it. Today we're going to talk about the concept of it is already done. It is already so. And this is a phrase that we hear all the time in the community. It gets thrown around so much that we often overlook it and it often just becomes dismissed. But this is the thing that is keeping you from actually experiencing and externalizing your desired outcomes. So if you want to learn how to make 2024 the best year you have ever experienced, then be sure to watch on and stick around to the end of the video, because I'm going to give you all an exercise that I want you to start to implement so that you can lay down the foundation to experiencing the very best version of you. By the way, hi, I'm Missy Renee. On this channel, we talk all things manifestation and the law of assumption. So if that is your cup of tea, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications, and if you enjoy my content, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're interested in any of my resources, such as my coaching programs, my workshops, and masterclasses, I will have links to all of that down in the description box below. So don't forget to check that out. So diving right into this, one of the first things that we have to understand and realize is that we need to take a different approach to how we usually approach the new year. The ways in which we are used to setting goals, because too often we are setting goals but never following through. And one of the biggest mix-ups that we fall into is treating the law the same way that we treat New Year's resolutions. Hoping and desiring a change and telling ourselves that we're going to see things different in the future, instead of being now the person that we desire to be, instead of already experiencing ourselves as the person who has our desire. So first, let's look at New Year's resolutions so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about here. Researchers suggest that only about 9% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually follow through with them and have maintained them by the year's end. 43% of people who set resolutions quit by the end of January, and 23% of people who set resolutions quit by the end of the first week. Now, why on earth is that? Well, simply put, it's because of the way that we are looking and perceiving what we desire. It is the mindset and how we are viewing it. The reason that we fail at our resolutions, and in this case, our manifestations, is because we are continuing to see them as changes that will happen in the future. We're stuck in the idea of being that desired person or having what we desire in the future. By the end of January, I'll be 10 pounds lighter. By the end of the week, SP will call me. I'm going to run a successful business by the end of the year. Now, what do all those statements have in common? All of those statements is you thinking of your desire. You are thinking about what you desire in the future instead of what we ought to be doing and how we ought to be approaching this, and that is thinking from the place of already being and already having. This is a topic that is often discussed, but it is the point that we continue to miss. So I want to break this down in a way that is abundantly clear so you can know that you are thinking from something instead of thinking of it. Because if we are not careful, we could think that we're living in the end when we're really just thinking of the end. Manifestation is being what you desire. It is embodying. It is a profound knowing. because you experienced it in imagination, and imagination is all that is. Thinking from the end is also how you respond to your physical circumstances, to your 3D circumstances. Because when you know that something is done and you know this thing to be true, then regardless of the 3D and what it is reflecting, you will not be moved. And where we usually get stuck is in the place of thinking of it. And we are constantly throughout our day thinking of what we want from the place of separation from it. We are seeing and perceiving our goals from the place of not having or not being. Again, I know that this is a point that is brought up often, but I'm going to continue to drive this home over and over again as necessary. A lot of the things that I talk about on this channel and in my videos are things that I've repeated before and will continue to do so, because this is something that often gets overlooked, and many of the times we're not even aware of it. And this is what breeds frustration. This is what breeds more doubt. This is what breeds the disappointment. The last video that I came out with was talking about the innate fear of failure that we have. And a big part of the reason why some people are scared to go all in, scared to buy that pearl of great price, because of the fear that they're ultimately not going to see it, and the aversion to the feeling of failure and disappointment that follows. And the only way that we are going to overcome that, the only way that we are truly and completely going to rise above that fear of failure, is if we start to identify and start to imagine ourselves as the person that we want to be, and continue to think from that premise. Because the only reason for your failure is your lack of self-conviction. That's it. There is no secret technique that you have yet to discover. There's no video or Facebook post that will give you the magic answer. The answer to why you have not realized your desires is because you are not yet convinced. And the reason that we are not yet convinced is because we are continuing to see what we desire. We're continuing to see our manifestations from the place of not having or not being. We're constantly looking at our manifestation as an aim or a goal that we want to achieve in the future. And instead, we spend a good chunk of our time keeping our focus and attention on the problem or what we don't want. For all but the occasional hour in the day, we are transfixed on what we don't want. We are transfixed on our current circumstances, the past circumstances that were not ideal. We are thinking about this desire from the place of, how do I get it? Why is it not here yet? Why did this person do this to me? Does this person still even love me? Am I ever going to have enough money to enjoy life? All of this way of thinking is what we are identifying with and who we are identifying as, instead of continuing to go back to the premise of what you would be like and think like and feel like if you are now the person that has everything that you desire. And continuing to go back to that premise. Because we continue to go to that premise, we continue to start from that question until what we are desiring feels natural to us, until it feels real to us, until we come to the place of self-conviction. So if you desire a change in 2024, if you desire a lasting change next year and going forward, we must remember this premise of it is already so. The key word there is already. You are not thinking about your desire and what that looks like. You are going after that desired outcome already happened. Already so. Oftentimes it is easy to forget that the change must take place within us first. There must be a change from within in order to see the reflection without. So we have to do away with this idea of looking to the future and looking to the outside for confirmation. If you desire a lasting change in your circumstance, you must first change from within. And this is Neville Goddard 101, but again, for the sake of making sure to put everything important in this video that you are going to need and you are going to want to come back to if you ever forget, in terms of making 2024 the best year yet, we have to remember that the only gauge that we're going off of here is who we are. Who are we being? What are we identifying with? Who are we identifying as? How are we reacting to the 3D circumstances? How are we reacting to our internal thoughts and our internal convictions? Are we still resonating with that old story or not? Because we cannot expect the change to take place on the outside before we have changed from within. So until our desires are past tense instead of future tense, then we have to remember to go back to the premise of it is already done. It is already so. Identifying with the version of you that is already the person that you want to be in imagination, and experience it, feel it, live it as real and as naturally as possible. The key word there being frequency. It is the frequency of occupation of that new state. And this is something that often gets overlooked, a lot of times without us even realizing it. And here's a quote from Neville to hopefully break this down a little bit. If you would assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled more frequently, you would be master of your fate. But unfortunately, you shut out your assumption for all but the occasional hour. Practice making real to yourself the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not close the experience as you would a book, but carry it around like a fragrant odor. Instead of being completely forgotten, let it remain in the atmosphere, communicating its influence automatically to your actions and reactions. A mood, often repeated, gains a momentum that is hard to break or check. Capturing the mood and coming back to it frequently is the secret to your success. If we are only imagining ourselves and allowing ourselves to experience our desired outcome, if we continue to look at this as something that we hope to have happen in the future, if we continue to look at our desires as some far off distant fantasy, then it is going to continue to remain a fantasy. We have to perpetually and frequently come back to the premise of already being done and already being so. And before we close out today's video, I want to give you guys something to implement in this upcoming week and as often as you'd like to take with you going forward. For the first week of the new year, I want you to go to bed each night as if you are going to sleep on New Year's Eve of 2024. And I want you to be feeling and experiencing the gratitude that everything that you desired to have happened and to see manifested came to pass. This video is being released on New Year's Eve 2023. So I want everybody watching this video today to fall asleep tonight as if it is New Year's Eve of 2024 and experience and feel the gratitude and the satisfaction and the thrill that everything that you desired is now concrete in your physical reality. That every single thing that you wanted, you got it. Remember to only give your attention and your focus and your energy to what you want and not what you don't. Do not waste time and effort dwelling on all the things that are terrible and how much things suck and how much you wish they would change. As soon as you become aware that you are doing that, you must drop it. This is truly the art of being. This is the art of knowing. This is the art of self-conviction. That you are now the person that has everything that you desire. And even if it doesn't feel true, imagine as though it were true anyways. Because if you do this, if you remember to stop thinking of something from a place of separation and instead start to think from the person who has already achieved it, who already has it, who already experienced it, who already has the gratitude and the satisfaction and relief from it. If that is the premise that you take from this and you remember to go back to and occupy frequently and often go back there to the point where you notice a change from within, that is how you will manifest everything you want and more in 2024 and beyond. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you found this reminder helpful. If you did enjoy it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in checking out any of my other resources, I have links down below to my coaching programs, my workshops, masterclasses, my podcast, my blog, my social channels, Got a ton of resources down in that description box, so don't forget to check those out. Also, be sure to check out the other videos on this channel. Be sure to check out my Manifestation Fundamentals playlist. Each video is a different topic, but it all pertains in how to manifest the greatest life ever. So until we meet next time, as always, please take care, be well, have a wonderful new year, and never forget that it is already done. It is already so. If you walk with that conviction, it is yours. Happy manifesting, guys.